everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Overtaxed Taxpayer channel. I would say about, I don't know, a year ago I made a video on how to do a simple refrigerator repair. And a lot of the people who really appreciated that video were single moms and just people who just didn't have the money to go out and hire a professional and get ripped off in the meantime. I think that video got 250,000 hits, and I got a lot of positive response back about that video. I got a lot of thank yous that you saved me kind of responses, so I'm going to do another video today. And today we're going to be hanging up some backsplash. Now, I could have gone with tile. I could have gone with a lot of different materials, but money was tight. This is durable and it looks really nice. I didn't want to invest a whole lot of money into the house because sometimes when you sell it, you just don't get all the money back. So I'm going to show you how to do this quick, easy, and cheap. For you single parents out there who are trying to sell your home in this hard economy, let me tell you something. Two things are looked at first. The rest fall underneath those priorities. When somebody comes to buy your house, they look at the kitchen first. That is the pinnacle. That is the most important thing, is your kitchen. Second most important thing is your master bathroom. Not the other bathrooms, the master bathroom. And the lady normally picks the house she's going to buy. The guy just nods his head. So, it's imperative for you single mothers out there who are trying to sell a home, fix up your kitchen. And this stuff is awesome. It really is. It's cheap and easy to install. Remember, kitchen, master bathroom. Everything is important in the house, but those two sell the home. So one of the main reasons I'm laying out this new backsplash is because of the patchwork that was done. The previous owners did some type of repair. The textures, I don't know if you can tell, the textures are completely different. The old backsplash has a line going all the way across, and because the main portion is texturized, I don't believe I can get this to be the same texture as that. And fixing the line will throw off all the texture also. To duplicate the same exact texture and make it look like it's never been worked on, it's pretty impossible. Before you get started, let me show you some of the tools you're going to need. Okay, obviously, aside from the backsplash of your style, there's all kinds of textures that you can pick from. I got mine at Lowe's. They sell it at Home Depot. And don't forget to check online to those sites because they have far more selection online than they do in the actual stores. So pick out your material that you want to use. These are, by the way, 2.5 square feet, so you measure out everything. I needed about 11 or 12. So 2.5 square feet per. Measure out your area. Square feet, that would be length by width. Some of the tools you're going to need is a sharp razor knife. I'm using a razor knife. However, a lot of other people recommend tin snips. They're little shears that cut tin metal, but these are not metal, and I don't have a pair of tin snips. So tape measure, carpenter's pencil or pencil of your choice, Phillips screwdriver, straight edge screwdriver, and a level I'm going to be using to cut. One other thing I'm going to get is a magic marker, very fine tip magic marker, so I can mark out my cuts on that. So that's the only tool that is not on the table that will be here in a minute. So before you get started, pull all your power outlet plates. And one thing I recommend is checking that the plate, once the plate is off, making sure this is straight up and down. Now is a good time to straighten out all your outlets. And the way to do that is you loosen the top and the bottom screw just a little bit. And you'll notice that your slots are slightly elongated. That way you can move them back and forth a little bit. Just verify that they're straight up and down and retighten your screws. So one thing you're going to notice about this material right off the bat is the fact that it has two different edges. One's a flat edge and one's a pre-cut edge. Side by side you can see them. When you lay this stuff, you're just going to overlap it, just like so. Now, normally, I'll pan the camera around. Everybody's installation has different variables and a different situation. Okay, let you see something here. Every kitchen's going to be different. Your kitchen's going to be different than my kitchen. No installation's going to be the same. Power outlets are going to be different spaces. Maybe different styles. In this house we have a backsplash here. It's about 1/16 of an inch thick, so it's relatively thick. And as I mentioned already, these things have two different edges. A flat edge for overlapping the next tile and a straight edge. Now normally I would work in a corner and work my way outward. But in this situation, if I did that, I would be forced to make a cut somewhere here, which would put the cut right alongside of that. And I'm afraid it wouldn't look right. I'm afraid that maybe one edge would be higher than the other. In this situation, where I would recommend starting in a corner and working outwards, I'm going to do quite the opposite. I'm going to take advantage of this straight edge. I'm going to pull this metal up, and then after I make my cuts, I'm going to slide it underneath just the straight edge portion and work my way towards the corner. So when laying this stuff out, you're going to have to cut in order to make it fit. Only you're going to be marking back there. But as you can see, here's a good illustration. You're going to have two marks. Pretend that this is the back of the counter. I'm trying to make this video, by the way, for people who have never done construction work. You're going to make a line there and a line there after you measure 2 points back there. That's going to be, and that's going to be, let's just say. And you're going to take a straight edge, very much like this. Neatly draw a line across between intersecting both points, and that's where you're going to make your cut. Why do you need two marks? Sometimes your granite guys, they can't lay a granite countertop perfectly level. Or perhaps the cabinet folks, I'm knocking on the cabinet below, sometimes the cabinet folks, they're working with a floor that's slightly uneven, therefore their cabinets are slightly uneven. And the same goes for this. Sometimes this cabinet is not perfectly level going across due to, who knows, maybe a pipe in the wall or something that could, who knows. I can tell you that this one is not perfectly level. And therefore, if you just make a cut, make one measurement up here, put a dot right there and make a line across it, you're going to see it up here. Now thankfully, if you can't tell, if there's a slight mistake, you want it up there. And from that vantage point, you're not going to see the mistakes as much. But still, try to do the job right. You never know. Somebody might come in the house that's only 5 feet tall and we'll be able to see underneath that counter or that cabinet. So what I did is I took two measurements. I'm drawing a line between the two measurements. And I'm going to proceed to cut my first piece. Remember, all cuts need to be done on top. That way all mistakes are on top. I'm going to try this razor knife again. I'm going to try a scissor later on. I'll let you know which works best. Now I already know that when cutting this, you're going to have to use light, relatively light. I wouldn't say just let the blade's weight do it, but you're going to have to put a moderate amount of weight on it. But at the same time, you don't want to rip through it in one stroke either. So I'll try to do this in about, 6 or 8 strokes. And then again, I also don't want to dig into my cutting board. This is my kitchen cutting board, so it's a moderate amount of weight in it. I'll go over a few areas, just a couple of times. I can already tell she's pretty much cut everyone here. Perfect. Try this with a scissor. Scissor actually works better, but you have to hold the material above your handle. If you put it behind your handle like so, the scissor is going to want to make a left-hand turn. Same goes for the bottom piece of a material. You want to keep it with your thumb underneath the handle, otherwise it's going to want to do a right-hand turn. So once your material is out of the way of your handles, it cuts a little bit better. Actually, it gets a little bit more difficult as you get towards the middle. Maybe a little muscle here. I mean, it does cut, as you can see. You cut with whatever you feel like cutting. Tin snips, I heard, also work good as well. And definitely nothing wrong with the scissors nor the razor knife. I forgot to mention another thing you're going to need. Some comfortable pajama bottoms. Hey, this is my house. I can wear what I want when I'm working. So as you see, I just slid the edge underneath. It looks a lot cleaner. I might have to trim a little bit up here. Nope, actually it works perfect. There's just an outlet behind here, right there. And as you can see, I have to cut for an outlet. So what I'll do is I'll take advantage of this overlay of the outlet and I'll just make a mark there and there. And then what I'll do is I'll measure from the wall to this edge to get my depth. And I'll cut just that square out. As you can see, she's coming together rather nicely. And I've really only been working for about 5 minutes. And obviously, I'm going to have to push this edge that way, but I'll make that cut right here. Looks nice. Okay, one thing I noticed when trying to mark cut lines with a magic marker. It actually stained this. So my wife came up with an excellent idea. Got some painter's tape, or any kind of tape for that matter. We laid it on the edge and then just marked the tape. I'll then cut the square out for that. Once I get that cut out and get this kind of laying down, I'll make measurements to cut that out. But let me show you how I got that. I place this where it needs to be. Remember, I'm working from this side to all the way in that corner. I then laid it out, and all I did is eyeball. Now you got screws to put the plates back on. So all I did is measure right around, I eyeballed it, measured right around where the screws are. And it's okay if this stuff is a little tight, because all you can need to do is, if you cut this a little tight where it's covering up the screws, you just take a little nail and you jam it through. This stuff is pretty flimsy. So it's actually good to get this stuff as tight as possible around your outlets. And again, if it accidentally covers up the screw holes to put your plates back on, you just jam a nail in there and you'll have your hole back. So I did that. I got 2 lines. All I did is eyeball the opening. I then put 2 marks here and here, representing the edge of this metal, and I just measured backwards, 1.5 inches. I connected all the dots. I'll get ready to cut that out. How am I going to get that? Well, once this side's laying flat, I'm going to take a measurement or 2 from the base up, 2 measurements from the closest edge. I'm always working with my closest edge. 1, 2. I'll mark that out, draw intersecting lines, and connect the dots. So just remember, when you're marking from here to here, that this edge is going to be underneath that metal. So when you transpose that measurement onto here, you can't measure from the edge out like I accidentally did. You have to measure from that edge outwards. I made a mistake, and luckily my mistake was only on blue tape. It's okay to cut it a little tight, because you can always come back and shave it with a razor blade if you need to. This you can either just make a big hole right in the middle and use a pair of scissors to work your way around it, but I prefer to just use this for now. Okay, everything is cut and laid out. What I mean by laid out, everything's cut and just leaning against the wall. Nothing is glued as of yet. Quick overview of how everything looks. So let's talk about the next phase of this project. Look over here first. All you do is place all your plates and see if everything is lining up. Okay, so that's perfect, with the exception that it's recessed a little bit. This is perfect. And what I mean by perfect is that the cuts don't go beyond the edge of the plate. Everything just sits nicely. So I know I can glue. And what I mean by recessed is that's inwards a little bit. So that means I need to pop it out. And that goes for this. Here's a closer view of what I'm saying. And this is when you do all your adjustments. So let's get a plate for that. And you'll see that this is just a little bit recessed. Okay? No gaps. Everything's cut properly. It's just that this needs to be pulled out. I would say a good 1/8 of an inch. The next phase after that would be to use this on all our, this is actually just trim. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these to the specific length, and we're just going to put it in to just give it a nice edge, and they just slide on like so. And all our edges that are exposed are going to have it. That vertical blue stripe right there is going to have one, as well as once I cut this edge right here, that's going to have one as well. Once you got everything ready to go, once all your outlets are pulled out about 1/8 of an inch or so, and that should just be screws. You undo the screws a little bit, and we should be able to get that rocking and rolling. I'll go over the next phase, which is just the final phase, and that's just gluing it down. Okay, the next thing to do now, and why am I saying this? Because it's common sense. Next thing to do is remove all the stickers. But why am I saying this? Because it actually says not required to remove. Therefore, you might accidentally leave it there. Now, you can install it with this here. However, there's an anti-tamper device, an anti-theft device, I'm sorry, and it's going to create a bump. When you go to lay your tile, it's actually going to create a bump because it won't be able to go flush on the wall. So, although it says not required to remove for installation, most people will say, hey, and take the easy way out. Remove your stickers, folks. It's really nothing to do, but I want to show you something here. If you don't remove this one, and they all have it, is this anti-tamper device. I keep calling it anti-tamper. It's an anti-theft device. And what it'll do is you'll go to install it and it won't go flush to the wall. You have these bumps all over, and every one of the tiles has that. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I'll be right back. And we'll get down to gluing. So we're going to start gluing this down. Everything's cut out, as you know. The product I'm using is liquid nails. I guess there's a couple of products on the market you can use. This is what I decided to use. My recommendation is cut your nozzle as small as possible. You don't want to cut it too big, because it's just going to be oozing all over the place. And what I'm going to do, I'm using this glue gun, and you'll notice that the back side also has pattern. What I'm trying to say is you don't want to waste your glue on the places that are not going to touch your wall. I'm only going to concentrate on the high places. None of this indentation is going to be a concern to me. And you don't need an awful lot of glue, by the way. I'd say maybe a drop or two in every square. Boom, 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 boom. And that's about it. So let's get to work. Obviously, less is more, especially around the edges. You don't want to use too much around your edges. Now with liquid nails, it says you have about 30 minutes of workable time. I'm just dabbing a little bit here and there. Nothing scientific about it. I'll come back, you know. I said 2 or 3, but I'm just double checking, you know, just going around, nothing scientific. I'm actually purposely staying away from the edges. The last thing I wanted it to do is ooze out of the edges. So I'm just going around, curves around here actually. I'll just do one of these numbers here. Nothing scientific about it. Stay away from your edges. Now for this project, I got about 2 tubes. I don't know if that's going to be enough. I really don't. So I'll stop the video, I'll get this all glued up, and I'll place her up on the wall for you to see. Okay, this is approximate how much I put on. So I'll see if this is enough to actually hold it down. This is the first time I'm doing this project, so I'm just trying to gauge what I need. So as you know, I need to go behind this thing. There we go, and place her down. I would definitely recommend having a sponge or something. Actually, not a sponge work. Take that back. Not a sponge working around electricity, but some dry towel. And just placing it down. There we go. And just pushing it down. Making sure everything is pressed down at least one time. Okay, so here's what I would normally do. Normally, I would start at a corner and work my way outwards. But because of my unique situation, where I already have a backsplash that I'm trying to go behind, I'm working from my backsplash out. Then I'll come down the corners on both sides of the room. I'll get back with you as soon as I laid a few more. Okay, the project is completed. Went through about 4 tubes of liquid nails. So we opted for the nickel brush plate covers instead of the old grungy ones. Any questions, just leave a comment or question in the comment section. Have a good day.